Hey there, everybody. I'm a little bit taller than you. My name is Nikki Goeser, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. My husband and I were both victims of a gun-free zone. You may notice that my husband is not here with me. Back in 2009, I was a permit holder. I still am. But I worked in 2 gun-free zones. My primary job was working at a college every day as a financial aid advisor. My secondary part-time job was running karaoke shows. Every Thursday night, my husband and I would run our mobile karaoke business out of a restaurant called Johnny's Sports Bar in the Nashville area. On April 2nd, 2009, my husband and I were running our business out of that restaurant. It was just going to be another night of karaoke fun until about 10:30 p.m. rolled around. It was at this point that I noticed a man out in the crowd that my husband had previously asked to leave me alone. This man was stalking me. I had run some karaoke shows for various bars in downtown Nashville, and this man was one of my karaoke customers. He used to come in, and he would sing, and he would drink, but he was awkward. He was what I would call somewhat socially stunted. He was just different. He never threatened me. There was no restraining order. Let's face it, restraining orders are worth about as much as the piece of paper that they're written on. This guy was just odd. He would stare at me. But then again, like I said, he never threatened me. And when you work in a bar, you come across plenty of strange people. It's a huge melting pot of all walks of life. And when you work in one of these places, you just learn to deal with different people. This man found me on MySpace.com and asked me to be his friend. I added him just like I add anybody else, all my other customers. His first few messages were quite normal. Hey, how you doing? I had a great time tonight at the bar. You sounded great. Progressively, he started saying things like, you're attractive. Again, you work in a bar, you hear those things, you just say thank you, be polite, and move on. Well, then he sent me a message saying, you should consider leaving your husband. Maybe he's too old for you. Have you ever considered having kids? It's okay to admit that you may have made a mistake. I had to leave somebody once that really loved me, and I left him, it hurt him, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. Of course, I showed this message to my husband, and Ben's like, what in the world? Obviously, this guy has a crush on you. Yeah, I said, I'm gonna take care of this. So, like I've done before at the bar, I tried to set the gentleman straight. I sent him a message and just said, look, very firmly but politely, I'm happily married. What you're saying to me is inappropriate, and you're basically fishing in the wrong lake. I thought, well, he'll take a hint. There's other fish in the sea, right? He sent me a message back that was basically the complete opposite of what he had just said. Just basically belittling me, whatever. Showed this message to my husband, and we both agreed that this man needed to be deleted. I didn't respond, I just deleted him, and I blocked him from my account. He ended up coming into one of the bars I worked at downtown and just stared at me. Of course, now I'm really starting to notice him because I realize there's something not right here with this guy. I'll never forget my husband telling me of this conversation. Ben went up to the bar to get a Bud Light, and this man tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, Ben, how you doing? Like nothing had ever happened. He hadn't sent these strange messages. Ben was not an instigator or a fighter. Ben was the guy that just wants everybody to get along. He was just fun-loving, happy-go-lucky. And Ben just said, look, I read the messages that you sent my wife, and I read what you said about me, and you're scaring her. Please leave my wife alone. He goes into a frenzy and says, what, is she mad at me? I swear to God it wasn't me. I've got a crazy ex-girlfriend who knows how to hack into my account. It was her. Okay, so Ben's like, whatever. Obviously a phony explanation. Ben joins the crowd. We go on, go home. A few weeks later, he comes back in. Same stand and stare routine. A month passed by. We didn't see this man. And then on April 2nd, 2009, I look up from the karaoke computer, and there he is, standing in the crowd. Johnny's is nowhere near downtown Nashville. It's a good 35 minutes away. Ben's already asked him to leave me alone. What's he doing here? This is not good. This isn't just a dedicated karaoke customer. This isn't someone that just has a simple crush on me. This man is stalking me. It was at this point that I talked to Ben, and we both agreed that he needed to be removed. So I asked management to remove him. Keep in mind, I'm in a restaurant that serves alcohol. I'm a law-abiding citizen. My legal permitted gun is locked in my car out in the parking lot. As management proceeds to confront this man, to ask him to please leave, I stay about 15 feet away. Something told me just not to get involved, let management handle this, just let them handle this. I tried to stay where this man could not see me, but I could see him. They're obviously asking him to leave, and he pulls a gun from under his jacket and proceeds to shoot my husband from behind in the head. He then stands over my husband's body and continues to pump 5 more rounds into him. He very calmly puts the gun back in his jacket and just starts to walk out. Like he's just gonna leave. Nobody's gonna know that he's the shooter, right? I'm running to get to my husband. He turns around the corner to leave. And the moment I get to Ben, I realize that he is dead. I later learned that there was a United States Marine that just happened to be in the crowd. Of course, everybody's scattering, screaming, running, but there were a few people who, I suppose they were in as much shock as I was. This Marine tackled him and disarmed him, and a few other guys jumped on top of him, and they held him until the police came. And he is now sitting in jail on 2nd Avenue in downtown Nashville, which I pass by every day, going to and from work to the legislature. And every day I think, you fool, look at what you've done to your life. But I do want to say this man could have just as easily come to my college to attack. The day after Ben's death, we learned of a blog that he had written. And in the blog he said, "Predator versus prey. I know who you are, run. Where will you work where I can't find you? At home, at dinner, in your sleep, every waking moment. This is going to be very painful. What kind of life do you have now?" Then, a few months later, I learned of the evidence in his truck through the search warrant. Initially, I thought he was just after Ben, but after I learned of what was in the truck, I realize now that he was most likely after me as well. They found 2 more guns, a baseball bat, binoculars, gloves, rope, and a knife. That's not a medical kit. That's an entirely different kind of kid. I shudder to think what my coworkers and those students would have gone through if he had chosen not this gun-free zone, but this gun-free zone. They would have witnessed either my kidnapping or my murder, and I would not be standing here before you today, speaking for both Ben and I. Gun-free zones are death zones. Bad guys don't care about the law. They don't care about those signs you post that say no guns allowed. The only people that pay attention to those signs are law-abiding people like myself. Those are places where they will go to get the highest body bag count. It's extremely naive to think that gun control actually works. Bad guys do not care about laws. Laws are made for the law-abiding. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for the Second Amendment Foundation and Students for Concealed Carry on campus. I appreciate you inviting me here. Thank you.